Unlikely peace. The Gaza dilemma. Summary. In a tense political atmosphere during the Israel-Gaza conflict, Hamas officials publicly state their need for more time to evaluate former U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. This story unfolds around key political figures on both sides of the conflict, their internal struggles, and the underlying humanity that might guide them towards an unexpected resolution. Chapter 1. The announcement. The morning sun had barely crested over Gaza's rooftops when the news broke. Hamas officials, in a joint statement to the world, declared that they were still studying Trump's peace proposal for Gaza. The announcement echoed through the streets, reverberating across a region already scarred by decades of violence and mistrust. In a small, dimly lit office in Gaza City, Ahmed al-Farouk, a senior Hamas leader, sat at a cluttered desk, surrounded by maps, notes, and the hum of a single overhead fan. The room smelled faintly of smoke and old paper. As he read the final draft of the statement that would soon be released to the media, a sigh escaped his lips. There was no way around it. They were trapped. Al-Farouk's eyes lingered on the page, reading over the words once more. We need more time to evaluate Trump's plan for Gaza. This is not just a political issue, it is a matter of survival for our people. He looked up from the page, deep in thought. He was not naive. The peace plan was seen by many as a farce, a political maneuver meant to appease Israel and the international community. But in the deep corners of his mind, al-Farouk was unsure. There was a peculiar sense of uncertainty that gnawed at him. Could this plan actually offer a path to something more? Peace, stability, or was it simply another trap, another piece of paper meant to further oppress their people? Chapter 2. In Tel Aviv. Thousands of miles away, in the bustling heart of Tel Aviv, the mood was vastly different. Israel's Prime Minister, Miriam Weiss, paced back and forth in her office. The walls, lined with dark wood and the sharp hum of fluorescent lights, seemed to close in on her as she read the headlines from Gaza. The statement from Hamas had reached her just minutes ago. Her advisors sat around a long conference table, their eyes trained on the screen showing a live feed of the Gaza border. The images flickered, showing military movements, drones soaring overhead, and the growing tensions that had become all too familiar. What do you make of it? Miriam's voice broke the silence. David Cohen, her trusted chief advisor, leaned forward. It's strange, isn't it? They've never shown this level of caution before. Usually, they respond quickly, with defiance. This sounds different. Miriam's fingers tapped against the polished surface of the desk. Do you think they're buying into the plan? Her words were spoken with a mixture of hope and skepticism. David hesitated before answering. I doubt it, but maybe, just maybe, they're wondering if it's the best offer they'll ever get. If they reject it outright, they risk further isolation. And if they accept it, they give up ground they've fought for years. Miriam stood, staring out the window at the hazy skyline. The future was a murky cloud before her. The peace plan had been drafted with the hope of stabilizing the region, but in her heart, Miriam knew that peace was never as simple as it seemed on paper. Chapter 3. The diplomatic channels. The international community watched closely, unsure of what would happen next. The UN had issued its usual calls for calm, but there was an underlying sense of urgency in their tone. The news about Hamas's statement had already begun to spread through the halls of the UN, causing quiet speculation and back-channel conversations among diplomats. In the corner of a quiet diplomatic meeting room, Israel's foreign minister, Benjamin Katz, sat across from his U.S. counterpart, Elizabeth Harman. They had met many times over the years, but this moment felt different. There was something in the air, a possibility of a breakthrough that neither dared to name. Elizabeth spoke first. You think they'll accept the plan? Hamas, I mean. Benjamin ran a hand through his hair. I can't say for sure. But I think it's clear that the situation is dire for them. If they reject the plan without an alternative, they risk losing everything. It might be a way for them to stall, but I think they're desperate for some kind of end to the violence. Elizabeth's eyes narrowed. Desperate, or just calculating? Benjamin didn't respond right away. Instead, he stared at the table before him. Both, maybe, but we need to be ready. If they give any indication they're willing to talk, we must be prepared to act fast. If we hesitate, it could slip through our fingers. The two diplomats sat in silence, the weight of history pressing on their shoulders. They both knew that the future of the region rested on delicate negotiations. One wrong move could ignite another wave of violence that would tear the fragile peace to shreds. Chapter 4. The People's Voices. Outside the chambers of power, on the streets of Gaza, life went on in its unrelenting rhythm. Yet, a quiet tension had settled in the air. The markets were busier than usual, and families gathered in homes, watching the news and discussing the latest development. Layla, a mother of 3 and a teacher in Gaza City, stood at the window of her apartment, gazing at the distant horizon where the Israeli border lay. Her thoughts were heavy. She had lived through countless clashes, airstrikes, and moments of uncertainty. But this felt different. She could sense it in the voices of her students, in the murmurs of her neighbors. The world might finally be listening. But there was no clarity yet, no real answers. What did the plan mean for her children? For her people? Layla's mind raced through the possibilities. Mother, will we ever be free of this? Her youngest son, Khaled, asked as he played with his toy cars on the floor. Layla knelt beside him, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. I don't know, my love. But we can only hope. Maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. Chapter 5. The Unexpected Conversation. Back in Gaza, Al-Farouq sat with his closest allies in a secure meeting room, the air thick with apprehension. They had just reviewed the latest intelligence reports, and the sense of urgency had grown palpable. The question loomed larger now than ever before: what would they do with Trump's plan? As the meeting progressed, a younger member of Hamas, Sami, spoke up. He was no seasoned negotiator, but his words were blunt and carried the weight of a growing realization. We're not just fighting Israel anymore, Sami said, his voice steady but intense. We're fighting a world that has abandoned us. The US may be pushing this plan, but we have to think about our people, our future. What happens if we reject this? What happens if we accept? Al-Farouq glanced at Sami, the tension between them palpable. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, Al-Farouq stood and walked to the window. We have to make a choice. And whatever we decide, it will change everything.